And good morning, Minecraft. This is Mr. Kassarian, and welcome to another episode of my Let's Play series. Oops, that's a wall there. Alright, what are we doing today? That's a good question, guys. We are dealing with our massive overflow. Just about everything, actually. There we go. I don't even need to do that, do I? So the first thing we're going to make ourselves is a fermenter. Now the fermenter is going to let us... I need 4 bronze gears. Alright, so let's get some stone gears. And that'll be good for 2. I need 1 more bronze. Okay. Or rather, 1 more set of bronze at least. So let me get some of this. And it isn't actually as sparse as it looks because remember, I have just about everything all sorts of blocked up right now. Let's put that there. Let's get that. And that gets me 4 of those, and that. And I should have some glass. Any day now. And we get ourselves a fermenter. Now, do I have a... Nope, I have a basic logistics pipe. I'll have to do the trick. So let's get ourselves a standard supplier pipe, shall we? Just 2 lappies. I should remember that, you know. It's a nice, easy recipe. I should remember it. And our basic logistics pipe gets us a supplier logistics pipe. Now, do I have any... No. Ah, yes. There we go. Alright, so let's run downstairs and let's start hooking this stuff together, shall we? Alright. Now, it's going to be pretty easy. Now, without the... Yeah, without the having access to that liquid supply system, which I'm not certain what's wrong with it. I'm going to try doing a pack update after this episode and see if that fixes the problem. Did I completely forget to... Yes, I did. One of those, please. Alright, so the first thing, without that liquid supply, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work around it by doing something like this. So, I'm going to hook in my pneumatic servo. And now I'm going to tell this thing that it's an output. Alright, now what am I going to do with it? Well, I'm not going to run a cable all the way up here, but I don't want to be running back and forth with buckets all the time. So what we're going to do is make an item from extra utilities that allows us to store liquid in a, I'd say, somewhat easier fashion at least. Let us go in here and let's get about a half a stack of iron, alright? The first thing we're going to make are 2 of these weighted pressure plates. And the next thing we're going to make is a cauldron. And actually, I want to have 2 cauldrons and 4 weighted pressure plates. Now, what we're going to do is have these at the top, our cauldrons in the middle, and then our steel on either side. And this gets us some drums. Okay. Now, these drums are kind of cool because they can hold up to 256 buckets of a single item in 1 block. 1 block. Now, I don't think you can stack them and have them cross-feed to each other, but still, it's pretty decent. So all I'm going to do is put that there, and you can see my fruit juice drum is going to fill up. If you have Whala, it's going to tell you exactly how much fruit juice you need. or how much fruit juice is in there. All right, so we're going to put this one down here. Oh, that's my centrifuge. And they're nice and easy to pick up, too. So our drum's going to go right there, and we're going to put our fermenter here. But first, we need to hook it up to some form of power. I'm going to put our fermenter right on top. And we're going to do the same thing with the fluiduct. And put that on it and flip that over. Okay. Now what we're going to do is a little bit more complicated. We're going to take our supplier logistics pipe. We're going to tell it to keep 32 partial. So what should happen now is that should start filling up over there. And we should be getting fruit juice in just a second. But for right now, we're going to stick this here. And we're going to request one more servo right now. And that drum is still filling. Jeez. Should have that servo right here. Pneumatic servo. Nice. And we're going to just install that in there. Almost there on this fruit juice drum. Fruit juice drum. Awesome. And yes, that is coming from the apples. So now we're going to jump up here and connect that on and just flip that over. Now the cool thing is if I pop this, right, it's going to remember it. Okay. And now all we need to do is configure this thing. So let's get a... Do I have any... I have no chassis. Okay. So I'll make a chassis pipe off camera. What was I doing over here? Right. Just give me one of those, please. Should zip over here. And let's just pop that in there. This should zip over here. And I'm just going to connect that up like that. And what I'm going to do is go get a chassis pipe and hook up a terminus onto it. And so I will come back as soon as I am all set. Now just a quick reminder, this orange thing tells this pipe where it's connected to. Just shift right click to swap that around. And now we hook in our terminus pipe. We get ourselves a sapling. I love just being able to request out of my whole system this way. It's awesome. We get ourselves a sapling, and we're just going to place it in the terminus module. And we should see this thing running wonderfully. Now, the juice is going to drain out of this thing, and we're going to start getting biomass inside this drum over here. And we're just going to store it in there for right now. That should be fine. Honestly, yeah, I don't really have much apple juice, fruit juice in there right now. So honestly, this should be working quite well. All right, so let me come back once we start doing the next part of our little series of builds. And we're back, folks. It's actually been a couple of hours here. And we are going to get started with Applied Energistics. This is another mod in the same sort of general vein as LogiPipes. However, it has some really good ways of storing and interacting with items that are somewhat different to the way that we do things in whatever this mod is called, LogiPipes. So, the first thing we need to craft is an ME controller. This device. I need 4 of these Fluix crystals and 4 iron. So let's look up iron. Let's get 4 iron and 4 Fluix crystal. Now, I already programmed Fluix Crystal, which is simply a quartz, Certus quartz crystal and Fluix and nether quartz and some other stuff into the logistics system. Now, if we look at the recipe here, we can see it's nether quartz, Certus quartz, and a bit of redstone. So here we got it. All right, now let's make this thing, shall we? ME controller. Now, our ME controller needs power, just like our LogistiPipes power controller over here. Therefore, I think we're going to shove it right there. Awesome. And it's not going to hurt it any, but just for appearance's sake, let's turn that off. Now, we're going to need some Fluix dust to make some ME cable with. The problem with ME cable and Fluix dust is that if we look up Fluix dust over here, Fluix dust is nether quartz and Certus quartz. Now, I have some Certus quartz dust right there, but I don't have any nether quartz dust. So why don't we run over here and let's grind some up in our pulverizer. Don't forget, you want to turn off your output, otherwise it's going to be smelted. If you smelt it, it gets turned into silicon, which is this stuff. Now, you saw that gate that I used, that advanced processor assembly? The way that's crafted is you put a diamond, some redstone, and one of these silicon in an assembly table, and it pops out over here. Now, there's another way to do it with a quartz cutting knife, but I prefer that system because the cutting knife takes durability damage when you use it. Awesome. All right, so we should be getting some nether quartz dust ground up for us over here. And this is something you'll need, and it's something we should automate, but we haven't gotten there yet. So that's going to filter out. And so now I'm going to request some ME cable. Let's get 32 of it. I need more nether quartz dust, and I'm missing a bunch of glass. All right, well, I should have some glass laying around here somewhere. There we go. I can take my nether quartz dust and put it in here. Let's try that cable again. 31 ME cable request successful. Awesome. So that should make its way over here. It's going to be crafting it up at our crafting tables downstairs. Now, the next items we're going to make are these things. They're called ME chests. Okay. And it's just some iron, a chest, some glass, and a conversion matrix. Now, while we're doing this, I'm going to want to take this thing, and I'm actually going to want to down convert most of my iron. In fact, a lot of my blocks are going to want to be down converted now. There we go. And while we're at it, let's figure out how many of these we're going to make. So we're going to make one for this, and one for the metals. So that's 3. So that means I need, if we look back at the recipe here, I need 5. So I need 15 iron. And do I have any chests in here? No, but I can make some. The other thing you saw is this thing, a conversion matrix. Now I'm going to need to make some basic processors, which I can make the processor assembly and smelt it, or I can just do it directly in the assembly table with some redstone, silicon, and gold. So why don't I do that now? And why don't I make 18 of them? Sounds like a pretty good number, actually. There we go. We just throw it in here, select the ME basic processor, and it'll start cooking it up for us. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. And that actually moves relatively quickly. So we have our chests. No. We have this stuff right here. What else do we need? We need some glass. Let's get the 6 of it we need. Request, please. And while we're at it, let's get some sand and let's cook it up. So sand goes in here, and we'll also do up some sand in these two things as well. And not done with one of those yet, actually. Well, that's not too bad. Resort, please. Okay, so we're just right now waiting on stuff to craft for us, which isn't too bad of a solution, to be honest. So let's do this. Now, let me talk to you a bit about the advantages of applied energistics. Unlike some other mods, such as LogiPipes, in ME, you don't actually see the cables as the items as they move around inside the cables. So let me bring up an ME cable for us here. So we have to connect, our ME controller has to be connected. And of course, our ceiling is getting a little crowded in here now. All right, so we're going to go in through the bottom here. Which isn't too bad, actually, because we have the space for it. Now, with these ME chests, we could also connect them directly to power, but I actually really want them to be connected to the ME interface, all right? There are some reasons for that, which I will show you in a minute. So I already experimented with this a bit off camera in a creative world, and their applied energistics and LogiPipes can actually talk to each other, which is really awesome. Really quite awesome. But for right now, why don't we... Let's look at this here. Thing is, I'm waiting on all these things to craft up. So we'll craft these chests first. All right. So one of the nice things about applied energistics is that it actually stores items as data on these things called storage disks, storage drives. And these storage units basically function like a hard drive, basically. A slime channel? What the heck do you use that for? A bounce pad? That's cool. All right. And it allows you to store a lot of items in one location, far more than even a barrel can. Now, the downside to it is that you can only store 63 types of items in a unit at one time. So why don't we get... Oh, yes, well that would be an issue now, wouldn't it? I think this thing's also going to store my ME components as well. So let's open this up. Mod-based item sync. Add applied energistics. Hopefully it doesn't mess this up. Let's just double check that now. I don't think it does. I think polymorphic is a higher priority than mod-based, so it should be fine. Yes, it does. Okay. But if we put these basic processors in, they should wind up here, along with that Fluix dust, which is pretty nice. I'm actually going to take one of these cables, some of these cables here, and we're going to add it to our handy little label. And that was probably some sort of meteorite. Okay. So the first thing we're going to want to do is let's get those processors. Actually, we don't need that because the conversion matrix has already been programmed. So let's get 3 of those. You can see this is the recipe for the conversion matrix. It's not too difficult. And those should show up any second now. Come on. Any second now. There we go. And now I can get myself 3 of these ME chests. All right. So let's take our gravity gun. We'll put it over here. Just like so. And then we're going to open these guys up in the back. Now, here's the interesting thing. Let me get out my pipe plugs, because I kind of don't want these things cross-connecting in the background. So let's open... It's going to mess up my system to a fairly well. And you're going to have to be a basic logistics pipe now. All right. Let's get a basic and 2 gold. So we cross-connected that, and I need 2 of these. And now we're going to take our pipe plug and insulate these, because the downside to these ME chests is that they do not like logistics pipes. They cannot accept items. Okay, so now that this is done, you're probably staring at this going, all right, this is great, but we have one problem. What's the problem? One, we have a bunch of items left outside. Yeah, it's nighttime. Let me go get those and I'll be right back. All right, and we're back. So if you noticed, when I opened those up, I couldn't do anything with them. And you guys are probably wondering, well, why is that? That's because they don't have any data storage drives in them yet. But we are now going to tell our logistics pipes crafting system how to take care of that minor issue. So what we're going to do here is we are going to look up the very basic. So it's storage. 1K storage cell. We're going to teach this to the system, okay? Import. All right, now we're going to teach it what is this? A spatial cell. Interesting. I don't know what that does, and I'm kind of curious about it. Okay, but that's not anything I need to worry about right now. Now we're going to teach it about how to make a storage segment. You're noticing, by the way, if you're watching my screen, that these things build off each other quite... Come back here, will you? Thank you. That these things build off each other. And now we're going to teach it how to make a storage block, or the 16K variety. Import. Okay, so now that we've done that, we now have to teach these things how to actually make a 1K storage housing, a 4K storage housing, and a 16K storage housing. And now, just for good measure, I think I already have pistons coded into this thing somewhere. Is that really empty? Let me see if I have pistons coded in. Yes, I do. All right. So I have to fill those out a little bit more. This thing's empty, and I don't know why it's empty. What should I tell it I should use? Let's teach it to make a sticky piston. Because that would be useful. And then over here, if I request 2 more of the crafting pipes, I can code this one for import, and I'll get into all this later. Basic import bus. And an export bus. And now if I look in my... I don't even know what I coded on that one. If I look in here, I have 2 more of these. Import and import. Awesome. Okay, so let's get upstairs and let's start these things crafting. I am actually going... Ooh, this is going to be tricky, though. Yeah, this is going to be a little tricky. Because these contain most of the resources I would need to craft these things. So let's look at 1, 2, 3. So let's get 12 glowstone, 98 redstone, 3 advanced processors, 32 basic processors. Alright, let me start making all this, and I will be right back. Alright, so we're about ready to hit go with this. Let us open up our remote orderer. Let's look up the 16K drives, and let's order 3. Oh, 3 advanced processors. That's what I'm missing. Shouldn't be too hard. And then... I don't want to take anything out of there yet. Alright, and this should eliminate the need for me to package items, which is something I really don't like doing. Alright, so that's going to cook up. In the meantime, let me... Do I have any spare? $39. So if I request an interface, 2 nether quartz and 2 Certus quartz dust. Okay. And 1 nether quartz. And I'm just dumping this stuff into here for right now. So let us get... it's going to be faster if I do it here. 1 interface, please. Request successful. And this should show up down here. Now let's figure out where we're going to put this thing. So this is, by the way, how we get our networks to talk to each other. All we're going to do is we're going to come over here, break this cable, and stick an ME interface there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put a supplier logistics pipe right there. And what that's going to do is basically allow us... Logistics pipe. It's going to supply the entire network, the entire logistics pipe network, into that ME interface. And the next pipe I'm about to put down is going to do the opposite. So we're just going to cut this pipe out, because remember, this is going to be an intersection. That means we need a basic logistics pipe. And now we're going to hook in a provider. And now these two systems are talking to each other. We can't see it yet, but don't worry, they are talking to each other. It's just a little more complicated than we first thought. Alright, how's this thing doing? We have 1 advanced processor so far. Alright, that's not terrible. Now, the nice thing about this setup is... Ooh, I wanted to do something else here. Actually, I probably can. It's going to have a logistics chassis. Mark II. I should have the modules that go with it. Where did all the modules go? That's really strange. It's quite strange indeed. I have a provider, but no polymorphics. There should have been. They probably despawned by now. Almost certainly. Okay, it's too bad. So I'll have to make another polymorphic item sync. Well, I realized I didn't want to really make that pipe that I just made, because I want items to route into that logistics network. So I have the provider module, provider logistics pipe. And I'm going to connect a chassis pipe and then a provider module. And I'm going to have to find or make a polymorphic item sync and install. You know what? Right now is actually a pretty good time to make it, considering we're dealing with everything else. So let's look up a polymorphic item sync. I need 2 orange dye. And I need 1 iron chipset and my blank upgrade. What this will actually do is mean that items, because, all right, the polymorphic item 6 can't actually see into these chests, okay? So the polymorphic item 6 cannot see into these ME chests, digital chests, whatever you want to call them. Instead, but a polymorphic item sync that's connected to an ME interface can actually see into the whole network. Okay? So it's actually a little bit better for us to connect down there. That way any items that are on the ME system will automatically route into the ME system through the logistics pipes network. Okay. Now I think we're running out of time right now. So let me, it's almost done anyways. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Okay, let me now, we will open this up. We'll open up 16K. Missing 8 iron. All right, that's fine. I had a feeling I grabbed that iron for something else. All right, so let's dump this into here. And let us look up. Wait, they're in there already? Missing 5 iron? I feel like this thing's math is having trouble. Either that or I didn't put the right amount in. Okay, that's a good thing it didn't craft. Request successful. Now, if we go downstairs, our entire network down there is probably going a little haywire. Oh, yeah, look at all these items shooting around. Look at this. Well, that was quick. We have our 3 16K storage units now. That was actually really quite fast. So what we're going to do is now we need to actually plug these in to our ME chest. So let's open this thing up. Notice how they don't stack. Plug that one in, plug that one in, and plug that one in. All right, now quickly before I wrap up the episode, let me show you guys how these work. So let's get all of our iron out and all of our blocks of iron out, okay? And now we're going to put our iron in. Nice. We're going to back convert all of this, and let me just show you. Put that in, and we should see it winding up in this chest, eventually. And hopefully not in here. Though we'd see it pretty quickly if it did. So what's happening is, yeah, you can see it's winding up in here right now. What I'm betting you is going on downstairs is the entire system is routing it into that ME interface, which is the sort of meeting place between our two networks. Now, the thing to notice is it only takes up 1 slot. Notice how it says 1 type and 280 bytes out of 16,384. So an item stores a specific amount, is stored in a specific amount of bytes, all right? Now, these blocks of silver are going to be a little bit tricky. I'm actually going to put them... How am I going to do this? All right. This should, once I do the first unit, this should be fairly... Ah, okay. So we'll pull that out. I'm having to do this because the block form of silver is actually from factorization and not industrial craft. And if I don't do this, I'll have multiple types of silver running around. But now, if I just go downstairs, then let me get the rest of the silver out of this chest. Did I get all the silver? That's IC2 silver. That can go nicely in here. And let me just get all of these bars put away. And I'm just going to put away all of the items in these chests, and I'll see you guys in a minute. Alright, and we have moved everything over. So, that's about it. If you look at this, I have plenty of space left on these drives. This one is the one that's the most full with item types, but that shouldn't be increasing by too much more. And this has significantly reduced the amount of trouble I've been having storing all of my metals. So I don't have to block anything anymore. Everything can be just independent as it is. And I don't have to worry about it, which is awesome for me. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Mr. Kasarian. It is time for me to end the episode. I'm almost to the 40-minute mark at this point. So thank you all for watching. It has been fun and enjoyable as always. I really enjoy doing these videos for you guys. If you enjoyed this episode yourself, give me a like, a comment, a subscription. Let me know you're out there. All right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. As always, happy mining.